What's up, guys? This is Culture and Vibes Podcast, where we talk culture, music, business, dating, and the vibes, all under one channel. So please, guys, subscribe and follow the segments that best interest you. But today we are here on the business segment, or a segment I like to call the riches and wealth segment, to talk about money, to talk about finance. And I've been looking all over the world for that one person that I can bring on the podcast to talk about money with. And I am so blessed to have found the perfect person. Not only is she beautiful, as you guys can see, not only is she smart, but she's financially intelligent. And I mean, who wouldn't want a wife like that, right? Anyway, she has a whole TikTok page dedicated to inspiring and educating people about their finances. Her page inspired me and educated me so deeply on different aspects of finance. And since I'm not a gatekeeper, I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring her on my podcast so she can inspire my viewers too. Hopefully, she might inspire the entire youth. And I will do all in my power to promote this video. And I feel like this might actually be the most insightful podcast I'll ever have, honestly speaking. But you know what? Enough about me. I've spoken way too much. Please, can you do us the honors of telling us who you are and what do you do?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on here. It's such a blessing to be here, so
It's a
thank you for
pleasure.
that. So, my name is Benice, and I'm a full time university student. On top of that, I also do tutor, and then on my page, I do financial consulting.
Wow. That's actually amazing. And you only 20 years.
Yeah, I'm only 20 years old.
Yeah, that's actually very inspiring. So, I actually do love to see young people like us uh, using our talents for good and making impactful content that actually inspires people and can actually help people in whatever they're doing, right? Because I can say finance is actually a very huge part of our lives. We can agree on that, right?
Yeah,
So I
I
just
can
want to
agree.
ask, at 20, running a finance page and already teaching people how to manage money, that's crazy. That's wild. And I just want to know what made you start this journey of finance?
Well, actually, quite a bit of things. I think the obvious one is that I think finance is where the money is. Sorry, not sorry for that. It's a huge business opportunity. And I think in the future, just because of ChatGPT and AI, the way that we are going, quantum
Yeah.
finance is definitely going to be the way forward, especially for the future. But I'll be honest with you, I only started posting consistently between like mid-June, July. Then around like August, I started to get like very demotivated. And then I had to do this informal research thing. And what I noticed over there was 98% of South Africans have tools or resources for finance, but they don't use it or they don't know how to use it. And I think that really pushed me and kept me motivated because, like, in August, I had like less than 200 followers. But I think my passion really came
Yeah.
through when I realized that a lot of people don't know how to use these financial tools. And this is where I am today.
Wow, that's actually very amazing. So I just want to ask you a question, right? On a personal level, would you say you are good with money?
I definitely would say I'm good with money. Definitely. I
Oh,
think in terms of age, I think everybody gets thrown off. They hear the word 20, they're like, oh my goodness, like you just came out of high school.
yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You're giving like all of this financial advice. And for me, I think it is adults and age. Experience doesn't relate to your age. No, it doesn't. Like, that's a
Yeah.
big one for me. For instance, somebody who's like 50
Yeah.
years old and then becomes 52 only has 2 years of financial knowledge where somebody who's younger and has been learning it since like okay I've been learning since the age of 15. I think just because of my background I didn't want to stay stuck where I was, so I really pushed myself, so now
Mhm.
I could say I have about like 5 years experience. But depending on how you look at it, obviously experience means different things for everybody else. But yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
say like I think I'm pretty good with it.
I get what you're saying, actually. People do tend to judge you based on your age. As I'm into marketing, I don't know if you've
Mm,
noticed.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm into marketing, and most people who have been into marketing for many years, they do tend to look at like younger people and be like, "You're not good at what you do." But
Mm,
it's very true when we say age is not a factor of intelligence, right?
100%. And I think it comes down to the beginner's mind or the beginner's cup. If your cup is already full, which
Yeah.
is what most people have, like, with the experience and also with age. Whereas if you have somebody who's young like us, we have the beginner's mind. We are ready to learn, but we also open, like,
Yeah.
open-minded to new opportunities and those kind
Yeah.
of things. And I think it really does
Yeah.
get looked down on, especially in the job market when it comes to Gen Z. I don't know if you've seen, like, those recent things about how like Gen Z is entering the job market, they have all this demands, and it just feels like a little bit excessive, I would say. But I do get it
Yeah.
to a certain point. But
Yeah.
like, we're not trying to dominate the market. We're not trying to say that we know everything. We're just trying to say,
Yeah.
give us a shot over here.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, something just came into my mind, and I want to ask. On one of my past podcast sessions, I asked some guests of mine, uh, what are some of the biggest financial mistakes they made when they were in university. But now I actually want to ask you,
Okay.
despite university, just generally in your life, as a finance enthusiast, I would like to call, what are some of your biggest financial mistakes you've made?
I've made quite a bit, so this is probably going to be a long part. So I think the first point, I used
Okay.
to stay in Durban, so KZN, and then I moved to Cape Town for studies. So I think if you move from Durban to Cape Town, you're going to see that price inflation everywhere, which kind of sucks a little bit. I didn't know how to manage my
Yeah.
money. So I didn't know in terms of budgeting, what to do, those kind of things. But the first thing I did when I was like 17, that's when I matriculated. First thing I did was I took all of the money that I saved up, I think it's like 5,000 Rand, I put it into the stock market. Mistake. You might not think that was a mistake, but that was a mistake on my part because there's three
Yeah.
fundamentals when it comes to not being broke, especially in your 20s. First up is having your
Yeah.
savings, then, investing, then you save for or invest for retirement. And I
Yeah.
missed that first
Yeah.
step. So now what I did was I locked my money into the stock market. Sucks. Another one that
Yeah.
I made was having two TFSA accounts. When you're 18, how much are you really earning for you to be making like, that 36,000 per annum, that kind of thing. So I think it was just kind of like, a
Yeah.
missed opportunity. And then another one I could say is giving into lifestyle inflation. I talk about this one on my page like all the time because I'm a victim of that. Like, that victim of being in
Yeah.
that consumerism. Because you can see in terms of TikTok, everybody has this thing and this thing and this skincare and this brand. And then you're like, but I'm missing out. Guys, you're not missing
Yeah.
out. You are not missing
Yeah.
out on anything. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah.
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 So many.
Well, I'm actually very happy that you touched on that, on consumerism. I feel like
Mm,
consumerism now is one of the biggest enemies of the youth.
true. Absolutely. I think we just
Yeah.
follow what everybody else is doing on social media and TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat. We just think we want to be like them. What you gotta understand is these influencers have
Yeah.
these perfect lives. These lives are not perfect. They're just showing you the perfect parts of those, like, of their lives. They're having drawers full of all
Yeah.
these clothes or skincare or perfumes or shoes I've even seen. It doesn't really help you. And I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you, like, I think 2 weeks to like a month ago, I purged through my whole
Yeah.
closet and I just gave it away. And I've never felt more at peace compared to when I had all of those clothes. Do you get what I'm saying? It's just something that unfortunately we
Yeah. I
get
get
sucked
you.
into as a trend, especially when you're a young adult. You get sucked into this whole thing that you need to be somebody, and to be somebody, you need good things to be somebody. Sometimes it doesn't even come down to what you have,
Mm.
it comes down to your mindset and also the way that you
Wow. Wow. That's
are.
actually, it's mind opening actually. Uh, I'm still shocked, because you so young. I mean, we are young, but you very knowledgeable about life and finances. Do you feel like people your age are the same as you?
See, like this kind of comes into the trap where you think like you literally, like you have an ego.
Yeah,
They say a lot of entrepreneurs have an ego, but when I say this, I like
yeah,
mean it with no ego, right? I definitely don't think
yeah,
a lot of people are like me. I do try to like blend with a lot of people my age. It just never works. It's
yeah,
like this different kind of problems. I had a hard background. Like, growing up in childhood, I think that's why I'm so
yeah,
driven in terms of finance to go into finance just to fix kind of everything that happened in my childhood. Obviously can't fix it, but you get what
yeah,
I'm saying. Not a lot of people went through the
Yeah, I
same thing.
see what
So
you
I can't expect them to have the same mindset as I do. So unfortunately, no, I don't think a lot of people are like me, or I just haven't met a lot of people like me. But it's nice to meet people
said.
like you because you're around, like, my age, and you're also starting something new. It's a business venture. It's something to be proud of. You took the risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're making me blush a little bit there. Anyway, you know, we speaking on for the youth, for young adults as ourselves,
Mm.
and we probably need this financial advice more than any other age demographic, right?
Yes, 100% agree. I just think it's the
So,
way,
yeah,
sorry. I just think it's the way that the education
no,
system is. I don't want to be like hating on the education system for what it is or the school system. I
okay,
just feel like the
okay,
fundamentals of life is missing. We haven't learnt it in school. And why is that
yeah,
not a compulsory thing? Why are we not getting ready for adulthood? Because I'll be honest with you,
exactly, exactly,
while I was studying,
yeah.
like I'm usually doing a business while I'm studying because I feel just doing academics, is that really going to prepare me for the real world or what's really out there?
Hmm.
That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just want to ask you, what are some subjects that you feel like we should eradicate? Like it's just a waste of time.
Eradicate, I would say none. Shocking, right? I feel
None.
like in every aspect, every subject, whether you think it's dumb, it's stupid, it's easy, or it's too complicated, like, we're never going to use it in our life. Through some facet in
Yeah.
your life, you're going to use it, whether you like it or whether you don't. So I always advocate for education. Maybe not the education system we have right now, but I always advocate for education. There's so many things that we could learn from education. For example, university. You could say that I don't need any of my degree because I'm literally doing what I want to do without my degree as yet. But group
Mm.
project, for example, you get to learn to pick up the slack. And that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. If your employees slack
Yeah.
off and you have a deadline, you have to get it there. You have to be the one that's consistent, disciplined, that kind of thing. And that's what academics can teach you, especially when you're left on your own.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. That's I wanted to argue on that, but from the way you explained it, I really understand it. But now I want to know from your own thoughts. What are your thoughts on the level of financial literacy in South Africa? Is it good, or do you feel like people are very unaware of how they can better use their finances,
People are unaware.
based
So
specifically in South Africa?
yeah, specifically in South Africa. So recently for my university project, it was an informal research proposal. So we had to do a lot of research just on finance, which is great. But 98% of South Africans have access to tools. Only 49% know how to use them. How crazy is that? I think in terms of
What are
statistics,
these
in
tools?
tools such as your
Now
savings
that's
account,
crazy.
retirement account, tax-free account, the stock market, those kind of things. Yeah.
Hmm.
There's no education, especially for the youth who want to break out of the cycle. I feel like when it comes to South Africa, I don't want to like put bad or a bad name on the country as a whole, but I'm talking from
Yeah.
experience. You feel like you get stuck in the cycle,
Yeah.
and the only way to break out of that cycle is if you have
Yeah.
education on how to break out of that cycle, which sucks because who's giving us this education besides ourselves?
Yeah. But what are some ways you feel like most people can better themselves? Okay, let me just say this, let me better structure this question, right? So I'm gonna speak on myself, me personally. I'm gonna speak also for my friends and some people I know. We have made a lot of bad financial decisions. Um, also me personally, I think even now I still make bad financial decisions, mostly because I don't have any budget. I just picture in my mind, okay, I have this much in my account, I have this much in that other account. I'm just gonna spend the money until I see it reaches that limit. In my head, I always have that. Everybody has that limit where they feel like I'm getting broke, you know and then until you hit that limit where you feel like, okay, I'm getting broke now. You then start to become conscious of how much you're spending. You start to think, okay, no, I should stop spending that much. I shouldn't have bought that T-shirt. I shouldn't have bought those pairs of shoes. So people that are living life like this, how do you think we can better improve our financial literacy?
First off, I think it'll be knowing the tools. So, selfless plug over here,
Yeah.
or selfish plug over here. Free budget tracker in
Okay.
my link in bio at the Finance Studio, if I don't change the name by the time this goes up. Right. But first off, I think the
So you
three
guys should
steps
check
that,
that out.
sorry?
Yeah. No, I'm telling the viewers, you guys should check that out. You should check her page out. I will put the link in the description below, so you guys should check her page out. And I always like to do this in the middle of the podcast session. Please, guys, don't forget to like, comment, tell us what you guys think, and don't forget to subscribe. Most importantly, thank you. Yeah, you can continue what you're saying.
Definitely subscribe, guys. Support your small creator, please. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
basically the three steps that I told you. The biggest mistake I made when
Okay.
I first came to Cape Town was that I didn't budget. But as I said, lifestyle inflation caught up to me. But what sucked even more for me was that I couldn't enjoy my life. So what you talked about was kind of
Hmm.
regretting. You felt the guilt, that denial that you
Yeah.
did, like, that you did have enough money in your account, and then you felt guilt afterwards. So what I would actually
Yeah.
suggest you do is be honest with yourself. Have the courage to look at your bank account, to see how much money you get, see where it's going, which is why I also
Yeah.
said use the budget tracker. That's exactly the same one that I use. Obviously, I have a little bit more modifications to, like, put in my investments and whatnot. But that one is your basis. It separates your kind of expenses into your needs, wants, and your savings. So you can at least get started instead of just saying, I don't know what to do, or just having like this plan inside your head. I'll be honest with you, a plan on paper is going to get you somewhere compared to the plan on your head. It just doesn't stay there. It doesn't happen. Yeah, so that would be the first
Yeah.
thing that I would do. Use the budget tracker, be honest with yourself, look at your bank account, see where your money is going. Second off, I would say in terms of saving, put some money
Yeah.
away. So set a determined amount every single month to see where that money is
Yeah.
going. Like, so don't wait up until the end of the month and be like, I'm going to save whatever is left. That's not going to work. I'll tell you what's going to be left. 0 Rand is going to be left in your bank account. So do that first. So I call it the monthly money date. And I do it on the first of every
Yeah.
month. Something goes into savings. Everything else gets allocated to my expenses. So I look at groceries, rent, utilities, those kind of things. And then I also have a
Yeah.
little bit of fun. But it's fun where I don't feel guilty after spending because I already saved for my financial future when I put everything into savings. I already accounted for all of my needs, like my rent, my utilities, like, I'm not going to be living on the streets anytime soon, that kind of thing. And now I have my wants where I can finally look at, okay, maybe I can buy a coffee or an iced coffee, or I can go out and have cake, or I can go and have, like, takeout, those kind of things. I actually budget for that. And that's like a huge misconception that a budget is not going to get you to financial freedom. That is your first step. And most people forget that, just like how I did. And as you can
Yeah.
see,
Me
or
too.
as I told you guys, it didn't work out. Don't
Yeah.
make that mistake. Always budget and save first.
Wow. Very insightful. So, let's say you're starting from zero, right? You're starting from zero. Like
Mm.
all the money you have disappears over one night, and you're getting a salary of 5,000 Rand. I want to know, tell me, please, how would you budget 5,000 Rand that you're getting every month over a course of a year? So you're getting 5,000 Rand for 12 months. How do you budget? First 5,000 Rand.
Okay, so 5,000 Rand, I would say, okay, depends on where you're living. If you are living on your
Yeah.
own, like, separately, go back and live with your parents. 5,000 Rand to live on by yourself, especially in Cape Town, go live back with your parents. It's not going
Yeah.
to work out, guys, please. So then what you're going to do is you're going to contribute a little bit of money to your parents because you're not selfish. And then you're also going to budget for everything else. For example, you're going to start saving for probably an apartment. That's if you want to move out. Obviously, I know some people don't have very good childhood parent relationships. So that kind of affects them from
Yeah.
going back again, but that's your ego speaking. You have to deal with that up
Hmm.
until you can get your money game, like, there. So you can save so that you can move. So kind of like a sinking fund so that you can move away. Then what I'd also do is set up a savings account get that emergency fund through the door. We are looking for at least 3 to 6 expenses. Then while you're still living with your parents, I want you to track everything that you use. For example, the groceries that you use. How much is that going to cost for you to pay for yourself? The fuel that you're going to need, if you're going to need to, like, buy your own car, those kind of things. You're going to plan out your life as like you're going to be moving out soon. And what you can do from there is that eventually, hopefully, after 5,000, like, after a year, you do get an increase. But sometimes that doesn't happen, especially in the South African economy. You have to get side hustles. That's why I'm doing so many things. It might seem a little bit crazy, like, okay, but you just said you're a financial consultant and you just said that, like, that's where money is. I'm like, guys,
Yeah.
a billionaire or millionaire doesn't just come from getting one job or one business. They have like 7
Yeah.
different things that they are doing to get to their financial
Different
future.
streams of income.
And I think I'm
Yeah.
blessed to be so young to realize that this is the state of
Yeah.
our job market, especially in South Africa. Can I really trust one
Yeah.
source of income? I know it's tiring. It is tiring for me to do like these 3 things and balance all 3 things. Because in those 3 things, I have subdivisions of how I can make extra money in those terms. But think about it. Would you rather be 40 and struggling? Or would you rather be 20, struggling and rich?
Everyone would definitely want to be rich.
Rich, yeah, exactly. Just put in the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just how it is. Especially when you're young, you have the ability to put in the work. You have the most energy. You don't have a family. You don't have any dependents.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. You don't have any dependents on you. You want to be saving up for your future, but also for your family's future. For example, when your parents start to retire, you're going to be the one that's going to be taking care of
Yeah.
them. You can't rely on anybody else to do what your job is. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow. To find someone that thinks like this, it's rare, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. That's why I said most people my age. Like, I
Yeah.
don't get along with most people my age. And again, it's not like an ego thing. I'm not better than somebody just because I think like this. Actually, I think I'll be quite
Yeah.
privileged if I could just study, just full time study for my degree. But
So
unfortunately,
I'll just
yeah.
like, yeah.
No, I was gonna say,
No,
unfortunately,
just
this is
speak.
the life. I was saying, like, this is just the
Yeah.
life that was given to me. And maybe it was given to me for a reason. Like, maybe I was meant to tutor these kids because all of the kids that I tutor, or like, some of them, like my matric last year, got a scholarship. Now,
Yeah.
imagine if I came from a good financial background and therefore I didn't have to work. And then I didn't tutor
Yeah.
that kid. And then that kid didn't get that scholarship to get into her dream university. That's the way I'm
So
thinking.
it's all
I'm
the
so blessed to have
plan.
this life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you can feel good energy. So I just want to know, like, do you feel like being so financially literate, like, does it impact your social life?
Mm,
I
I would
mean,
say
like, okay, so I'm not saying like, okay, I just want to restructure this question, right? Because I don't want it to feel like we repeating questions. I just mean like, with everybody has friends, and personally, I believe it's always in society. It's good to have someone that you can
mm,
fall onto, someone you can speak with. But with your close friends, do you feel like being so financially literate, like, does it affect your relationship with your very close friends?
no, I wouldn't say that it affects my relationship with my close friends because I'm still able to go out and whatnot. Again, as I said, intentional planning for my wants. If I want to go out with my friends, I budget for that. I make sure I have the money just for that. And that gives me my peace of
Okay.
mind. Obviously, when I was in like first year
Oh,
of university, I didn't know how to budget and whatnot. So, like, going out with friends, like, it kind of felt
yeah.
impossible. Like, just to go for a coffee, it felt impossible.
Yeah.
Up until I had, like, that mindset shift where I was like, you know what? I am done being in the scarcity mindset. And I talk about this a lot on my page because it's such a huge thing, especially in South Africans, where we think we have
Yeah.
less than what we actually have. So in order for me to change my mindset, I need to change my budgeting skills. So yes, I did feel it in my first year of university. Now it's okay. I can go
Okay.
for a coffee. It's cool.
Okay, yeah, I like to hear that. Okay, so I'd just like to know, what is one habit that you changed long time ago that really contributed to your financial life, that made a big difference? that actually made you more money?
I think it was because I'm actually
One habit.
okay. Okay, habit. I think putting myself out there. I think, like, rejection therapy. You get so scared, so confined. What is everybody going to think about me? Is this going to affect somebody else? What happens if I say the wrong things? Oh, I say the wrong things about my parents, and my parents are going to come after me. Or I say something about my family, my family's going to come after me. Especially like in
Yeah,
the Indian community. If you're an Indian out there, you guys get me, right? But
yeah,
I think that was a huge one for me when I was in matric. I came to this
yeah,
realization and I was sitting in my accounting class and I call it the fruit salad story. And basically, the accounting teacher was asking us a question and I didn't know how to answer. Well, actually did not answer the question, but I wasn't sure if I was right. I wasn't confident in myself to put my hand up. And then eventually she's looking through the marking guidelines to get through the, like, to get the answer. And in my head, I said
yeah.
fruit salad because I think the question was what you do with the leftover fruit in a company instead of throwing it out. I'm like, let's make fruit salad. And then her answer was to make jams. And then she was like, you'd take a really creative person to come up with something like that. And then I was saying, like,
Mhm.
in my head, like, if I just put my hand up, I could have been called a creative person right now. But what was going through my mind was, don't put your hand up. Everybody else is going to, like, see that you put your hand up. You're going to get it wrong. Don't do that. And then eventually the next class came and she asked the question again. I got the answer wrong. But immediately I noticed that mindset kind of shift. Instead of it being like, I can't believe you
Yeah,
did that. Like, everybody's looking at you. You got the answer wrong. For the first time, my voice inside my head was like, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe we did that. And I think for me, that was the biggest one, especially when it comes to like tutoring. I do it online now.
yeah,
I used to do it like in person. But when it comes to online, you have to have a lot more personality, especially with these kids. They don't want to be doing another hour of maths or science or business
yeah,
or accounting. Like, you have to have that personality. And that's when I really like shone through. So like, I did have to go through some like development phases to get to where I am. Biggest one was to be okay
yeah,
with being rejected, especially when you have your social media page. I'm pretty sure you would also like, understand what I'm saying. You get so
yeah.
much
I relate.
criticism. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
get so much criticism for putting your face out there. And yes, I do know, like, a lot of
understand.
people come be like, you're not qualified to do this. And I'm like, yeah, that's literally what I told you guys. I'm not qualified, but this is just what I think. This is how I'm going to explain it.
Yeah,
I'm like, so many other people could come up to me and be like, you're so approachable. You explain it so well. Thank you for this advice. And that, at the end of the
mm,
day, makes it so worth it compared to like one hate comment in like thousands of people who are just appreciative, because financial knowledge,
yeah.
financial education is not taught at all. So to have somebody who is like your age, rough around, to tell you about it just feels like my financial future is going to come. It's going to be there. I'm set in stone for something,
Yeah.
you know?
Wow, that's amazing actually. But you did speak on saying you tutor kids online
Mm.
and they don't want another 1 hour of math, so you try to spice things up, right?
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you know, even in your personal content, giving advice, financial advice to people, sometimes it feels a little bit too serious, a little bit too educational. How do you balance entertainment with education, making your content appealing but also very educative at the same time?
I think what we tend to think in terms of education is that it's always strict, it always has to be that way. Just breaking down something as simply as
Yeah.
possible will get somebody's attention, especially if that's what
Okay.
they want to listen to. But in terms of making it engaging, I think you commented on one of my TikToks, and that was the mindset one. A lot of the times I will relate what I'm talking about in terms of mindset to maybe like a series that I watched or a book that I read. For example, I did one on scarcity mindset and never have I ever, like, the series on Netflix. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You just need to find a way to explain all these broad, serious concepts in something that is everyday life. And that's what makes it entertaining because everybody sees those like
And
connections, like, wow, I didn't know that could be the link between it. Yeah.
there's a video you posted that it touched me very deeply and it really impacted me. I'm not even sure if you know this, but there's something that you posted on your TikTok page. You were talking about the power of giving. I don't know. You were saying something about yeah. I think that's the video. That's the scarcity mindset video where it's like you can't want to be a millionaire when you
Mm.
can't even give to people while you're still trying to grow. Something like
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
I don't know if you remember what I'm trying to talk.
I do
Yeah,
actually. And that video was actually set
yeah,
because of when I was donating my clothes. Coming from an Indian family, it's like you try to get a rand for everything. If it's just like 10 rand, 20 rand, 30 rand, it's fine. As long as you're
yeah,
getting something in return. For me, the biggest part about donating the clothes
yeah,
was like, I'm not selfish. I'm not going to say like, oh, they don't deserve
yeah,
the clothes or nice clothes and that's why they need to pay for it. For me, it's like,
yeah,
am I giving away something that I could be paying for? And that was like a huge thing for me. And I'm like, you know what? You've had these clothes for 3 years. They don't fit you. You're not a teenager anymore. I know you wish you was, but no, you're not.
yeah.
Like, no, these clothes are not going to fit you. And eventually I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give it away. And then my helper came and then she was sorting through the box. And I was like, you know what? You can take what you want from there. And
Okay.
I don't think you understand the peace that I felt when I saw her taking the clothes and she was wearing one of my jackets or like a throw over or something. And I was like, wow, like,
Yeah.
these clothes are going to somebody who's going to
Give you
appreciate
some
them.
joy.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
gave me joy. And I was like, you know what? These clothes sat in my drawer ages, for like ages, when I
Hmm.
could have just done that and felt that peace instead of feeling cluttered. It is somebody else's treasure because, like, it wasn't like destroyed or anything. And she found pure joy. Now, like, literally every single Saturday she comes, she's wearing like one of my clothes. And I'm like, you know what? It looks better on you than it ever did on me. That's good on you. Well done. Like, it's that
Wow.
peace and mind and all of it. When I was talking about the video in terms of money, I think it had to do with like, those billionaire comments, like if I was a billionaire, I would be donating so much and so much of money, and how they're criticizing other
Yeah.
billionaires for only giving $45 million. Like, guys, it's still $45 million. But what I realized from
Hmm.
there, and also heard a lot of other people saying, is that if you're on the
Yeah.
street and you only have 100 rand, and let's say that 100 rand was broken up into like just tens, and you don't want to give away just 110 away to a beggar, how are you ever going to give, let's say, like 10 million when you're a billionaire? Like, it doesn't, that mind muscle connection doesn't really work in that sense. And also think about it in terms of a higher power, God, universe, spirit, whoever you believe in. I don't tend to go so much in there. But whoever you believe in, and if they are going to give you money, and they saying right now that you're being stingy with somebody just to give them 10 rand, they're not going to give you $10 million just because, like, you want it. You need a show, you need a proof. It's like
Yeah.
giving a kid a toy and then they start being naggy. They don't like the color. They don't like the way it is. I wanted a doll, not a truck. But if you accept that toy and you're like, you know what, I'm going to make the best out of this toy and I'm going to share it with another kid,
Yeah.
then you're on the right track. And I think that's where I was going with that video. Like, we tend to think that only when we reach a certain stage can we do what we want to do in life. Sometimes you have to do what you want to do in
Yeah.
life now. The power of now.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I think now I really understand more of what you're trying to communicate in that video. But do you believe in the concept of the more you give, the more you receive?
I don't like that statement. I'll be honest with you. I feel like some people just give with the intention of receiving. Sometimes you just need to give because you want to give. The same way I gave the clothes. I didn't want anything from my helper. I just
Uh-huh.
gave the clothes to her. And just seeing her happiness was enough for me. I
Yeah.
didn't need any monetary value, nothing from that. But a lot of people
Yeah.
give to
Nothing in
donations, they
return.
give or they do prayers or they feed the poor or orphans or those kind of things, and they want something back in return in terms of like, their business. They believe that, if they
Yeah.
give, then they're going to receive like that. But the most important thing is your intention with that. It doesn't really have to do with what you are giving or when you are giving. It's your intention when you are giving. That's why I say mindset is like the cornerstone or
Yeah.
keystone of finance. You can't become rich if you're in like the scarcity mindset, which is exactly what you're doing if you're only giving to receive. You get
Receive. Yeah. Okay. So I want us to just conclude now, but I am going to say that this is very insightful. Personally, this has changed my mindset a little bit. I learned a lot. and hopefully the viewers too learned a lot. So please, guys, once again, go and check her page out, the Finance Studio on TikTok, and make sure you to comment. Tell us, guys, what you guys think about this podcast session. Do you want to see Bernice come back again? So, uh, another question I have, right, is with your finance studio, where do you see it go being in 5 years?
5 years. Okay, that's quite interesting. So as you know, I started off as a business opportunity, and then I started to see the more altruistic side of me just posting content. But I think for me, in the next 5 years, I was hoping for a pivot, but I think that'll be around like 10 years. Definitely financial consulting, but more so in its entirety. So, like, becoming a certified financial
Okay.
planner, that's like on my 2026 bingo card. Then also going for the RE5 exam. So to become a financial advisor, I just want to build my skills and then also build up the company. And at the end of the day, I want the company to be about educating South Africans. And
Yeah.
that's where I think I see it in the next 5 years. And eventually, I think we should make this a subject in school. Just saying. I think so.
Yeah, we definitely have to.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, what's a final message that you would like to tell someone listening right now, who feels like they're already behind financially? Probably someone like me. I feel like I've made so many mistakes that have not gotten me to my full financial potential. Like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of rands in my account. What would you say to people like that watching you right now?
Well, for everybody who's feeling behind and hasn't started, the Chinese adage says that the best time to start was 20 years ago. For us, we were kids, but it still holds true a little bit. And the second time to start, the best time to start is now. That's what we tend to forget. You are going to be making mistakes. I made a ton of mistakes, and I am still
Yeah.
paying the price or trying to correct it right now. And unfortunately, that is the way it is. But I took that risk when it came to it. I want a financial future. I want financial freedom. So take the risk. You're going to make mistakes. Unfortunately, that's just how life is. And the only way you're going to learn and progress through life is if you're going to wake up after every single failure and just go towards your goal. At the end of the day, they don't reward those that have the most motivation, the most intelligence, the most anything. They actually, reward the
Yeah.
ones who are the most disciplined and consistent. Unfortunately, that's the only secret sauce to being, I would say, an entrepreneur or trying something new, being consistent and disciplined
Yeah.
in any kind of facet.
That's amazing. So, we actually concluding right now. I just want to say once again, thank you for pulling up. It was really an honor to have you, and I feel like this might be one of the most impactful podcast sessions I've ever had.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciated having this opportunity, and it was lovely having this conversation with you.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully, we might have more podcast sessions. Are you open to that?
I would love that actually. I thought I wouldn't like this because this is
Yeah.
my first one, but I actually did like this. It felt calm. It was chill. I
Yeah,
felt it was a good vibe.
yeah. Yeah. So I am working towards getting a studio, but the issue right now that I'm facing is I'm trying to first of all move out. I am staying with my aunt right now. I am also, well, basically there's so many things I'm working on right now. I don't only do podcasting. I also have a digital marketing agency. I also yeah, so let me just say that I have a digital marketing agency. I'm also trying to plan on starting like a physical business. I'm thinking of importing and exporting type of business. So with someone like me with so much plans, I would definitely need, someone to help me out to think. So do you feel like we might you okay, as you said, you're trying to become a financial advisor, right? I'm not trying to mix up my words. How do you feel like you might help someone with kind of a situation like I am in right now?
Yes, definitely. I think I help a lot of people in your situation. As much as we
Oh,
might not find people like us in terms of young age in person, I think TikTok or any social media is such a lovely way
mm,
to connect with people who have the same kind of agenda. So what it sounds like, you and I are on the same
Yeah.
path. So definitely, I would be able to help you out in that case. I love the grit that you have and all the ideas. It seems to be going good. Just do it one at a time, and you'll be able to get
Yeah.
there. Actually, but yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Oh no, for sure, for sure, for sure. Okay, so it's been a lovely session. Guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Benice. Go and check her page out. You guys, I will put the link to her TikTok account. Are you also on IG,
No,
on
should I need
Instagram?
an IG? Your subscribers can tell me,
Okay, okay, yeah. So, guys, please do let me know if you want to see her coming back. Just comment. Tell us what you guys think, man. I want to really know what you guys think. And we are. Oh wait, let me say this first. So this is Culture and Vibes. As I said, we all about the business, the music, the culture, the industry, and everything else. So please make sure to like and subscribe and follow the segment that best interests you. This is Culture and Vibes. This has been a wonderful podcast session. I'm mixing up my words, but we are out. Thank you, guys.